This is Nick Shell, and you should not listen to anything he says.
I'm Nick Shell, and you shouldn't listen to anything I say. And here's what we want to talk about right now. I want to talk about right now. We've talked in the past about this connection many times, about the connection between, if you're of Asian descent, you're in theory less likely to go bald as soon as someone of European descent would. Okay, we're all familiar with this, and I first learned this when I went to Thailand for the first time in 2003. I realized there are men in their 50s and 60s, and they've got, you know, more hair than I do right now in this video. So I realized also they have less body hair. I realized there's a connection. There are patterns that I can't help but notice. I am faithful to read all the comments that I ever get on this channel. More than once, I've received comments from Asian men who tell me of the pressures they have, where they live, whatever country in Asia it may be, it's different places. I'm hearing things like Go Fiber or things like that you put in your hair to make it look thicker. That's very popular over there. The hair transplants are, that there's more pressure socially to have hair. Now we could say that about any place, but I would be willing to say if there's one place, one region of the world that has more pressure for you to keep your hair as a man than any of it, it'd be Asia, anywhere in Asia. And here's why. And it's ironic, but here's why. Because and you do believe me that Asian men are less likely to lose their hair at an earlier age, right? You do believe me, right? That's common knowledge on this channel, right? Okay, just making sure. Okay, so in the region of the world where you're less likely to lose your hair at a younger age, that means if you're one of the few that actually, let me adjust this. There we go. That means if you're one of the few that actually does lose your hair at a younger age, like for example, for me, could you be a Norwood 3 at age 36? Or should you freak out and get a hair transplant if you're somewhere in Asia? Because if less people lose their hair, then the ones who do are going to stand out that much more. So I can have compassion, especially in particular for the people in Asia. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But if you're watching this and you live in Asia, do you feel that there's any truth to my theory I'm presenting? That because less men lose their hair, there's more pressure on you if you truly are beginning to lose your hair. You stick out more. And I don't know, from the little bit I've been able to glean about Asian culture over the 2 summers I lived there, Thailand, and a little bit in Korea, there's just certain social pressures that I can't relate to as an American. So I am wondering if that's a legitimate theory, that you've got more pressure. Because see, here for the rest of us, for those of us who live in more European descent type of places, I'd even say Middle Eastern as well. Because from what I can tell with Middle Eastern men, they seem equally as likely as European men to have more body hair, but then to go balder sooner. That's my observation. But as far as Asia, I mean, let's name some countries. Japan, China, Taiwan. I mentioned Thailand. Is there more pressure for you because less men go bald? Because I could have more compassion for you than I could the rest of us, because for us, we can, and again, my theory is you can typically grow facial hair if you're losing your hair sooner, if you're of European descent. And from everything I've seen and observed, Asian men have harder trouble growing facial hair. So it's not like because the cultural norm here now in 2017 in America at least it is so cool and normal to shave your head and grow the beard. That's the norm now. I see it's everywhere. But I can't imagine that being the norm in Asia, where in theory it's harder to grow a beard and there's more pressure for you to have hair because less men lose their hair at a younger age. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just throwing out this theory, but I really want to understand. This is not a teaching moment for you. It's a learning moment for me. Teach me what I need to know about Do you have it rougher than I do? Is life more difficult for Asian men who are losing their hair than it would be for a guy in America, where it's culturally acceptable that you're expected to lose a good amount of the hair, at least by the time you're 40, and you can always grow a beard out and balance it out, and no one thinks of it like they might in Asia. Enlighten my mind.